In 2016, this lady got admission into the university. She's the fourth child of a family, and even though the father was rich, like he was getting money, she couldn't claim that admission. Why? Because the father was busy spending money on different women outside. And then along the line, she met this guy who is 9 years older than her. She met the guy online, and then they started speaking. And then at a point, this lady was telling this guy about the whole admission she got that she couldn't claim because the father is not responsible. He's not spending money on the kids. And then this guy was like, okay, fine, I can help you. Just come visit me. And then she went to visit him, and he helped himself on her. He sexually assaulted her. And this was the first time she ever slept with a man. And then when she got home, the sister saw her because her clothes was stained. The sister was like, what happened to you? And then she lied. She said, oh, she was seeing her period. Although today, she said she regrets it because if she had opened up to her sister, they are wiser than her. They could have said one or two things that she could have done, but let's continue the story. Fast forward to 3 months after that, she got pregnant. And then the mother was like, what? You this girl who got you pregnant? The father too found out. The father was like, hey, you must marry the person. Since you are not too small, you are not too small to spread your legs for men now, you cannot be too small to marry him. Not under my roof. Leave my house, a stupid child. So that was how this lady contacted this guy. And well, funnily enough, this man who is 9 years older than this lady, he was happy about it. Like, come on. And then they got married. And then after they got married, this guy was like, okay, fine, you have to live with my mother because I'm going to have a lot of things to do. I will be able to look after you very well, but my mom, you know, she's elderly. In fact, she can't wait to look after you. So the lady, being young and naive, she was like, okay, fine, why not, right? Few months after that, this man got an opportunity to travel out of the country because of his work. It was very good news, but now this means something. It means this lady, the pregnant lady, is only with his mother. This guy is out of the country. She can't see him. That was where her troubles truly began. This pregnant lady, she keeps getting lean because she's not eating. This guy's mother is always saying, no, do not enter my kitchen, please. Anytime the mother-in-law makes food, she doesn't reach out to the lady to come and eat. The lady obviously cannot cook because the mother-in-law says, do not ever enter my kitchen. And whenever the mother-in-law even cooks, she never invites the lady. So now this lady is left to always going to buy food outside with whatever money she has. Crazily enough, once in a few months when the guy comes back home, the mother-in-law is always saying, your wife is not eating my food. Like she'll be crying crocodile tears and what? You know that your wife does not like me. Your wife is trying to turn your back against me. This guy will come to the room, beat this lady up with the pregnancy because of what the mother said. Now the husband was around at the time when the lady was giving birth. The day this lady gave birth, she still had to cook for the husband. And that's just because the husband doesn't eat yesterday's food. If you prepare some soup or stew or whatever yesterday, he won't eat it today. He only wants fresh stuff. So the woman that gave birth earlier in the day had to still cook for this guy. She's not having a great time. She's isolated from her parents. So of course one day she got fed up of this. When her child was 3 months old, she refused, like, I'm going to see my mother. The mother-in-law is saying things like, if you leave, if you take your bag out of this house, don't ever come back again, blah 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 blah. Well, of course the lady did not listen. She went to her mother's house. Around an hour after that, the husband started calling her all the way from Switzerland that, hey, you have packed your bags, you have left the house, my mother said you left the house, blah 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 blah. This lady was like, I'm just going to see my mom. It's been over a year. I've not seen her with my eyes. But then the mother of this lady was like, okay, please just avoid trouble, go back to your husband's house. So this abuse went by up until when this lady had the second child. When she had the second child, any new thing causes a problem. If she has a new dress, the mother-in-law is angry. If she's having a new phone, the mother-in-law is unhappy. In fact, this lady's brother bought her an iPad sometime. Immediately the mother-in-law said, like, hey, you want to finish my child's money, you want to spoil my child's life. This drama got so crazy that when the husband came home from Switzerland at some point, he was like, okay, fine, both of you do not like each other, obviously. Before things get catastrophic, we have to move out of this house. So the husband got an apartment for the family and they moved from Ikorodu, where they were in Lagos, to this new apartment at Surulere in the same Lagos state. By the way, when this lady was having her firstborn, she was in labor for 3 good days. For 3 whole days, she was in labor. The mother-in-law was the one with her at that point, before the husband later joined them. But for the first 3 days, the mother-in-law refused to sign. The doctors were suggesting a cesarean section, so they were asking the mother-in-law to sign so that they can proceed. Number 1, the mother-in-law refused to sign. Number 2, the mother-in-law switched off and hid this lady's phone. What? Anyway, the husband later joined them there, and this lady's mother also joined them, and they prayed for her, and after a while she gave birth peacefully. Anyway, when they moved to this new apartment at Surulere, Lagos, the abuse continued. Because yes, they are not staying in the same apartment anymore, but I mean, the husband's mother is still in her son's life. This lady would buy things for the mother. She's always not happy. It was just obvious they might never actually get along. When their second child was 3 months, the family wanted to from Surulere go to greet the mom at Ikorodu. When they got to around Ojuelegba, the husband was calling the mother that, "Oh mommy, we are coming to see you." The mother-in-law now was asking, "Who are the we?" The guy said, "Oh, of course, me, my wife, and all the kids." The mother-in-law right there on the phone was on speakerphone. She was saying, "You can come with the kids, but please don't bring down your wife to my house." This lady now, angrily, she took down her kids from the car. She was like, "Fine, you can go and greet your mother. Me and my children were going back home." Like at this point, this lady was fed up. In between all this drama, in between the pregnancies, in between the abuse, this lady was still going to school. She was going to National Open University. So she was going to school, she was writing exams. In between all that trauma, at a point, she got fed up completely, and she picked her children and she ran away from Lagos to Abuja. The husband now arrested her father, arrested her mother, just for this lady to bring back his children, which I can understand. So yes, she had to come back with the kids. So when she got back, she was like, "Okay, what do I do now? I don't want to go back to my parents' house." So yes, she stayed at her husband's house, but she didn't allow the husband to touch her, like sexually. Now, this led to many things. Sometimes the husband wouldn't even come home at all until like a day or 2 days after. And when he comes back, she dares not ask him where he's coming from, or else she go collect beating of her life. And she said she didn't want him to touch her because she already has 2 kids for this person. She doesn't want him trapping her with more pregnancies, which might make it just more difficult to leave the marriage. This was when this lady started looking online for any possible means of income, because it was totally obvious she has to have her own money. And then she started doing digital marketing. She started building landing pages, websites for people online. That was where she now got 2 clients from the US that she was working with permanently as virtual assistants. So she's doing that as a regular day-to-day work at the same time, and periodically she would do landing pages or build websites for people. So she started making money, and she saved up to $5,000 at that point. So she bought a piece of land at Songo. The plan is this: plan A is to either travel abroad, plan B is to either take her children and run to Songo and be living there in the new house that she's building. But then along the line, Canada visa processing came out, but then the job requirement was her husband's field. She studied education, the husband studied electrical engineering, which was what was needed. So she started pushing the husband to apply, to consider it. Let us move to Canada. She kept pushing for it. Let us write IELTS. Let us do this, let us do that. So the husband agreed. Now it got to a point, she moved all her money to the husband's account so that they can use the husband's statement of account at the embassy. And then finally they got the visa and they all moved to Canada. Of course, after getting to Canada, the husband refused to return the money because he was like, did we not come together? Did all of us not enter flights? Did I not pay for plane tickets and so on and so forth? But then this lady didn't even mind, because she was like, okay, at least fine. We're even far away from your mother now. We can have our family to ourselves. Now, this man works in the coal. He's making $20 Canadian per hour. So he's not happy. Whenever he comes home, he's frustrated. He's putting the frustration on the wife. Like, what kind of woman are you? You brought me all the way from Nigeria over here to be working in the cold and saying yes sir to all these small white people, all to be collecting $20 per hour. Can you see what you've turned me to? Look at my life now. Woo. And then it got to a point, the neighbors started calling child services that, hey, there's a man here, oh, this couple, they are abusing their children, and so on and so forth. The neighbors reported so much that CFS had to visit them. And at that point, this lady got scared. Like, what will happen? This is not Nigeria. They can actually take my children away from me. And then at that point, she started begging the husband. I said, please, this place where we are, they can take our children away. Let us go and buy our own house. But then the other was like, for where? Which man in his right senses will go and buy house with a woman in Canada? Oh, so me, I will look for money to buy house in Canada. And then when we fight, you will not call the police. They will not kick me out of my own house that I bought with my money. To what? Never. And then the wife started saving money. So in like 2 months, she was able to save $9,200 because she wanted a place that they can at least have privacy it to themselves. Nobody will be reporting them to child services and so on and so forth. So yes, they were able to put down a down payment, got a mortgage, and they bought the house. So of course now the guy was happy. He told his mom in Nigeria, they just bought a house. The mother-in-law did the calculation, was like, oh, in 6 months, you guys bought a house in Canada. That was where another set of problems started from. Strange things started happening in the house. This woman woke up one middle of the night only to find the husband holding a pillow over her head. He was about to suffocate her. It was that bad. Towards her birthday last year, one of our colleagues at work, who is a lady, wanted to take her out for dinner. But then she told the colleague that, my husband is not around here though. We have to tell him I don't want trouble. And then when the husband came, she told the husband said no. And then the woman was like, okay, fine, the person I'm going with is a lady. But all the same, let me take one of my child with me. At least you will know that I'm not going to see another man. So the lady went, and then the friend dropped her and her child back at home after the dinner. Now the colleague that took her to dinner also bought some things for her. So when she got back with the bags, the husband, now seeing the things she got from shopping, dashed to the kitchen, brought out a knife and said, I'm going to stab you if you don't tell me where you got all these things from. The man that bought all this. That was when this lady ran out of the house and called the cops on the husband. Is it possible that she wasn't patient enough with the husband? Because now the husband was arrested for attempted murder. Because it's not just domestic violence, now you held a knife, you wanted to kill your wife until she ran out. So yes, maybe it was his normal temperamental issue and he was just bragging, maybe he didn't mean it, but all the same, he was arrested for attempted murder. Some would think the man was actually afraid of probably him being a victim of being in a civil society like Canada. Maybe that's why he was preempting these things happening and was acting ridiculously. Or maybe if we look at the pre-established behavioral pattern right from Nigeria, he is actually an abusive person. Well, the deed has been done. The wife has called the cops on him. I want to ask you about this whole situation of relocating abroad and then husband and wife calling cops on each other. What do you think?